Recently on one of my videos, I had somebody ask if you could put a brushless setup on one of these micro 124s. So I figured today, I've been working on this for a while anyway. I'm doing a little bit of a comparison, show you what I have. Kind of go over some of the things you can and can't do, and hopefully to help you out. All right, first off, let's introduce you to everything here. This is the my outdoor crawler. It is not a 124. It's like an 18 scale or whatever. But if you look at it, I mean, it's same size. They might call it that, but it's, same size as the 24s. The SEX 24, let me go back to this one here. So a lot of my stuff is modded and, somewhat custom. So I did the rims and stuff here. I took out the battery tray that is on the inside here. Kind of just show you here what we got. Take this lid off here. I'll be right back. Okay, so underneath here, there used to be a lid or whatever that went right here. And I have since removed that because I don't like the idea of taking the battery and just closing it off. So I've taken that off, and other than that, the only real mods that I've done is to the springs. As you can see here, I've kind of stretched these here. These are like really thin ones. I'm trying to get a specific ride out of this, and I want to lower it down a little bit as well. So work in progress, and you'll have to excuse me a little bit. I got a slight cold here. All right, now this is the SEX 24. Out of all the trucks I have, when you buy this RTR, it is the best, has the most ability, the best crawling ability, slow crawl, all that jazz. This one here is a little bit modded. It has a magnet, which I have to re-glue back onto the top here. This is the magnet mount thing instead of using the post, which I don't really care for those. Still has the original servo in it. I did upgrade the motor to an RGT 050. I've moved the battery. I forget where the placement and stuff is, but I've moved the tray, flipped it. I don't remember exactly where it was originally at. I currently have some 3D printed rims on here for dually setup. It doesn't really do a whole lot for the truck besides look cool. I thought about maybe making a trailer or something for it, but there's really no need right now. And I have my steering mod that I put on there. Those little O-rings, those little blue O-rings right there. It really tightens the steering up very, very well. So this is a very capable rig. I have some hot racing shocks on it as well. Other than that, it's pretty much, I guess you could say, stock. It's not really stock. It's, rebalance, move, whatever. So that's my 24. This is my Ecx Barrage. I love this little guy here. It might not be the most capable, but it was one of the first ones that I had, and I just fell in love with it. I just like the way that it moves and does everything. So I did buy an AE6, which is the same thing that's in the 24 receiver ESC combo. And I've got everything taken out of here now because I did have a pulley system that I 3D printed on here. I wasn't really happy with the way that it was working, so I'm coming up with some other stuff here. I've got a PN Racing motor that I may stick in there. I'm not sure yet. But basically, ESC-wise, it has the same as the 24. And everything else is fairly stock on this one. Haven't done a whole lot to this one yet. All right, and then I have what I call Sandyland, for obvious reasons. This is my four-wheel steer rig. I have different shock locations, as you can see. I'm still toying around with this, trying to figure out which one I like. But in the back here, you'll notice I do have a slight issue with the servo, the mounting thing there, wanting to hit with that. So, excuse me, I'm still playing around with that, trying to figure out what I want. ESC-wise, we have a $4 ESC I got from Banggood. This is for a brush model. And then I use my Dumbo RC receiver, and that's what I use on here. I have an RGT 050 motor with the pinion turned backwards. It just works really well on this rig. This thing is pretty amazing, so it probably won't be getting a whole lot more done to it, maybe figuring out the shocks and that kind of thing. The 3D printed one. This is by far my best. It's mostly 3D printed as far as the chassis and stuff goes. It has an Ecx servo. It has a Dynamite 88 turn brushed motor in there, as you can tell. It has some cheapo shocks that I think came on the SCX24 originally. I have 3D printed wheels, or rims or whatever. And then these tires, I don't remember where I got them, probably from Asian Tees or whatever. These are amazing. I love the grip that they give. This thing just, it's amazing. I don't know exactly why it's the best at what it does, but it is just an amazing truck. It has SCX24 axles, so you get the worm reduction just like you get on this guy here. The others just have like a ring and pinion setup. I made some links and stuff for Ecx Barrage a long time ago, and I've been using, things like that on here just kind of as a throw together. And this thing just kind of like amazes me all the time. It has what I'll call the Injora ESC receiver combo. Again, this is for brushed. So I'll go over the brushless thing here in just a minute. Now this guy right here, my 4-wheel steer, it also has an Ecx servo. It has the SCX24 axles and 3D printed rims as well. Just different kind of tires. All right, this is my Hobby Plus CR24, I think. Again, we have an AliExpress ESC. This was like $3 and something. A Dumbo RC receiver. And we have a Charisma 030 motor, the high torque ones. This one here seems to run really good the way that it is. I do have things that I want to do to it, but I haven't really done a whole lot because it's pretty fun the way it is. I built this from, scratch, and it seems to work really well the way that it is. Excuse me. So I will be eventually doing some mods to it, but right now I'm just kind of enjoying playing around and figuring out how I want to go. Now, all these rigs, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are my 24 scale, minus this one, it's an 18th or whatever, but I still call it the 24 because it's basically the same thing. These little AliExpress ESCs you couldn't really use for brushless, but again, if you wanted to buy a brushless one, you buy one for a drone, and buy like a little drone snub nose motor or something like that, and that's how you would get a setup in something this small. It'd be a fairly cheap, considering what you're buying, but for the 24 scale, it'd be rather expensive to go that route. Again, same thing here, the AliExpress one. Now these guys right here, the Injora and the SCX24 A6, AE6 or whatever, I guess you could technically use these, but you would basically only be using this as a receiver at this point, because you would, and I don't really know how you would do that either, because let me show you. All right, so this is the controller for the 3D printed truck over there, and that one right there. I think they both have the same ESC in it. And as you can see, you got 1 and 2 for your channels. Number 3, I'm not sure where that would even be at. I'm sure that you have something on here that you could, like maybe this switch right here or something, turn it off and on or whatever, but it'd be really difficult to use that. Now the same with the AX4 here, which comes standard on the SCX24. You'd have a lot of the same issues here because you have a reverse on channel 1, but then you have your channel 3 switch there that would be, it's a 3-way switch. I think you got like a neutral and then one way and the other way. So I guess you could use that for something like maybe steering control. But if you wouldn't really want to use it for a brushless type setup, it's just not really set up for that. So in order to get brushless on these little guys, the best option to really do would, like I said, be buy a ESC, like a drone ESC, and a snub nose type drone motor. Excuse me, and use that in there. There's different mounts and stuff. You can either 3D print them or buy them. They're fairly easy to install. They're just kind of costly. And for these little 24s, it only costs like $100 anyway. You're putting a lot of money into something that's really not worth it. That's just my own personal opinion. Not only that, what are you going to use the brushless for? These are crawlers. It's not going to give you what you think. So brushless is cool, but brushed also has its own place. Now, having said all that, brushless is pretty cool. And I know a lot of guys like to play around with it on crawling, but honestly, I don't see the sense because these are supposed to be 24 scale, which is more akin to this size. I mean, you could see the size differences are pretty close. I mean, they're not really crazy far off. This was one of the first 24s, I guess, before the SEX 24 got popular. And this little guy here is so much fun, but I can't imagine putting brushless power in something like this because, excuse me, guys, I really apologize. I've got a nasty cold. The driveline components and mainly stuff like this, your little spline here, just look at that. That's plastic. I don't know if you could see that very well. You go putting a lot of torque and stuff on there, that's going to strip out. Okay, on this particular rig, I have some weights here in the front. Well, is that going to cause you problems with the brushless motor? Sometimes they can't handle all the weight that it's pushing around. You don't know. And if you do, you got all that rotating mass that's going to actually cause more. It's either going to give you more torque, which a lot of them won't give you torque. They give you like more speed. They run at higher RPMs and stuff. So it's going to cause everything to kind of stress out a little bit is my point. Some of them, might get to a point where they break, or some of them, might be able to stick around, kind of, if you do it the right way, maybe, I guess. But there's only one company that I know that makes a good product for that, and that would be the Fury Tech. Excuse me. They make something called, I think it's a Lizard or whatever. It has a brushless setup. I think you can actually buy a motor and everything with it now. But now, check this out. Just the Lizard ESC is like $50-$60. If you want the Bluetooth module, which it's kind of pointless without it because you can't really set anything, at least not very easily. That's like an extra $30. Excuse me. That's like an extra $30. So by the time you get, into all that, you're looking at close to what you paid for the truck. Then you still don't have a brushless motor. And there's other upgrades that you could be doing. I mean, you could easily sink quite a bit of money in these little guys here. And so keep that in mind when you're working on stuff like these. They're really cool to play with, but keep in mind the scale. That would be my advice, because you could easily spend a lot of money on anything, but at what point does it become worthless or not worth it to you or whatever? Hopefully, I've given you guys a little bit of something to kind of compare on here. These are cool, and again, back to the question: can you do brushless? In most of these, I guess you can, but you got space constraints. You got torque issues. You got plastic. Depending on what you're buying, is it going to hold? Is it going to strip out driveline components? You just don't know. Is it really worth all that? Again, I love my little fleet here. It's fantastic. All these little guys are cool for different reasons. This one here hasn't been on the channel for a while. I plan to take it to a specific spot so I can run the same lines over and over again, so I can continue my tuning on it. This one here, I just kind of do whatever with it. The dollies will probably be coming off of here because they don't really serve a function. They're cool to look at, but they don't really do much. The four-wheel steer here, that's a badass. 3D printed truck, we all know that's a badass. Both of those are really, really cool, along with the 24 too. Once I get some normal tires and rims back on it. This one here is starting to be something that I like. This one, and this one all suffer from that same little kind of like jumpy startup. So, and the reason that they do that versus the others is if you look in the front, I don't know if you can really see it in the front, maybe the rear would be a little bit easier to see. You see that extra little top there on the axle, if this thing will focus? That is where a worm gear is located at. So anything that has SEX 24 axle, which would be this one, and this one, those are all going to have more of a deeper reduction kind of a crawl. These other ones here just have a ring and pinion. I'll show you the differences on those. As you can see, there is no worm gear on those. Hopefully that helps you out here. Again, I really enjoy my toys. I very much like what I have and the setup that I have on all of them. There's a few things I want to tweak and everything else, but it's nice the way it's set up. So basically, you got to ask yourself, do you need brushless? And if so, why? If you're just looking to crawl around, get you a really good brush motor. They're cheap. If something happens to it, you just replace it. Relatively inexpensive. We're talking a couple, $2, $3, $4, $5 to replace a motor. If I have a couple over here, this is one of those little Japanese motors that I got. It's I don't remember the sizing on this thing here, but it's a Copel motor, and it has kind of a big shaft on it. Excuse me. I bought some stuff from AliExpress, and they sent me the wrong size gears. Not really so much the spoke on them, it's just the opening. I don't remember the size on this one, so many millimeters or whatever. They sent me the opposite one. So long story short, I got a lot of this stuff for free because they sent me the wrong ones, but that wasn't the point. But it doesn't matter. This is going to eventually go on something here. I'm going to kind of test it out. It's kind of for a robot. But as you can see, it's got massive gear reduction on there. I can't even turn the shaft. That's how bad it is. This is an RGT 050. One of my favorite motors. I think you can get these for like $5. When they blow out or they burn up, just replace it. It's a great brushless motor. Brushed motor, I should say. It's a great brushed motor. And when they burn out, you can just replace it. It's like $5. So yeah, different setups for different things. I try a lot of different stuff. I've been around the block here on these 24s doing a lot of different things, and they're cool. But what I've learned is if you can enjoy them close to the way that they sit, doing minimal things to kind of make them better, that's where you need to be. If you gotta go spending $100 in a setup, an ESC and stuff to throw in there, it's not really worth it. You're spending more than what you could, buy a truck for. To me, it's just not worth it. To you, it might be. So, that's something that you kind of got to ask yourself. So, this is my fleet, and it's my comparison video. So, on another note here, the channel itself has grown to 200 subscribers now. That's basically 100 a year. I've been doing this about 2 years now. Excuse me. So if you guys haven't liked or subscribed to any of the videos or the channel, please do so now. It just helps the channel grow. It keeps the algorithm going. I've done some pretty good things that I'm proud of this year on the channel. So the growth is actually something that I'm really happy with. And I'd like to see it grow more, obviously, but we'll get there. So yeah, hopefully this video has helped you guys out. Kind of help with the comparison, show you what things are, show you a little bit of the differences so you can help make up your mind. If you ever have anything that you need any help on or whatever that you don't know, or you think this might work or whatever, hit me a line, crack3drc@gmail.com, grab a video, comment on a video or whatever. I'd be more than happy to help you. So I thank you guys for tuning in, and again, hopefully this helps you and shows you a little bit of comparison here so you know a little bit about what you're doing.